We're in Telford because this town, just like Rotherham in South Yorkshire, has been engulfed by a quite horrific Muslim grooming scandal. And this town's been dubbed the child sex capital of Britain. So the scandal that actually happened here over the course of 2 decades or so, just the same as Rotherham, but on a larger scale. So that's why we're holding our protest march in this town today.
Yeah, it's an actual epidemic. It's been sweeping across the country, and Telford tops the list. In terms of severity, this town has been hit the worst.
Okay, and it's still going on because there were 7 convictions in 2013, and I was reading that one of the victims said the worst perpetrators are still out there. So it's fair to assume that it's still happening in this town.
Oh, it's still happening. I mean, this will not stop. Where there are Muslims, there will be Muslim grooming gangs. It's in the scriptures, it's in the Islamic scriptures that Muslims are permitted to take the kuffar, the non-Muslim women and children, as their war booty. They can do what they like with them, they can keep them as sex slaves. And this will never stop whilst our corrupt establishment are busy appeasing the Islamic community in Britain. Our children are at risk.
Why do you think they are doing that?
Well, it's for reasons of political correctness and not wanting to rock the boat. The authorities, the police, the social services, the council, when they're confronted with a child sex grooming scandal on this scale, they tend to suppress knowledge of it and try and sweep it under the carpet and just let it continue, because for reasons of political correctness, they don't want to give Muslims a bad name. So they literally sacrifice the children of this town and dozens of towns all over the country on the altar of political correctness.
Do you think also they might want to be keeping Saudi Arabia happy, which is the spiritual centre of Islam?
They want to keep the whole of Islam happy, to be honest. As Jayda said, if you look in the Quran, the reason this is going on is because paedophilia, by our standards in the West, it permeates the Islamic religion. In Muslim countries you have child brides marrying full-grown men, and it's widespread all throughout, and it's accepted, it's part of their culture all throughout the Muslim world in almost every country. So they have no problem with targeting underage girls for sexual exploitation, for sexual purposes. And also the Islamic view of non-Muslims, the kuffar, is very derogatory. They look down their nose at anyone who's non-Muslim. So if you put those together, and on top of that you've got the Islamic way of viewing women, females, who are in Islam, permeates their entire religion. They are second-class citizens.
No, not only that, but their false, I had, Prophet Muhammad took a 6-year-old bride and had sex with her when she was 9. I refuse to say he consummated their marriage when she was 9, because you can't do that with a 9-year-old child. And Muslims are told in the Islamic scriptures that Muhammad is the perfect human being whom they should all mimic, they should all emulate, they should try and aspire to be just like Muhammad. It is absolutely, there are no coincidences. It's no coincidence that Muslims are taking child brides and marrying them and having sex with them when they are children, because Muhammad did it, and if Muhammad says it's okay, then it's okay for all these Muslims.
Why is it then that educated people in Parliament do not understand Islam to the same level that anybody who's read the Quran does, like yourselves, like myself? Do they not bother to read it? Do they not bother to look at history?
I think they do. I think they know what's going on. They know what Islam is like. These people are intelligent in Parliament. They know what's going on. But in many cases, like on the left, the Liberal Democrats and Labour, they bury their heads in the sand and pretend amongst themselves that Islam is some lovely, beautiful, peaceful religion. Yeah. And if anyone doesn't actually believe that, then they keep their head down, because there is a reign of terror in this country that comes down on the head of anyone who sticks their head above the parapet and speaks the truth about Islam. I've been arrested 10 times, been dragged into court, Jayda's been dragged into court, we've faced trials, criminal charges. I was thrown in prison over Christmas and the New Year. If you're brave enough in this country to speak out against Islam, you will face the wrath of the politically correct authorities.
And what about this Polish guy who was supposed to be turning up today? I understand something's gone a little wrong there.
Yeah, well, we had a very special guest coming over from Poland. He's a patriot. He's held in very high esteem both in Poland and here in Britain. He's a former Catholic priest, and many people have seen him giving speeches, anti-Islam speeches, to hundreds of thousands of patriots who have had enough, just like us, have had enough of Muslims coming to our country and abusing our hospitality and standing against everything we believe in. They don't adhere to our laws, they will not integrate with our people. So he's been held in very high esteem, and we're extremely disappointed that he got off the plane this morning in Britain and was immediately detained by Border Control, who have said that he's being detained pending interrogation, at which point they will decide whether he, as an EU citizen who has every right to be in this country, whether he will be allowed to remain here or whether they will put him on a plane and send him back home. This is a man with no criminal convictions, a former priest who has come here to speak at our events, to support these children who have been groomed by Muslim grooming gangs, and they have said that under no circumstances will he be attending our event.
And yet I see a Trump flag in the background,
Yeah.
and it's being debated that he's not even allowed into our country.
I know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, fancy that, the leader of the free world, you know, the most powerful man in the world, who is extremely popular, hence why he is now in power, and our ridiculous left-wing petty politicians, just like the ones who call for our movement to be proscribed, are now standing there and debating whether we should let him here or not. It's absolutely ludicrous.